Morning, everyone. Good morning.
Morning, Doc.
Morning.
We'll be recording the session as we proceed.
I have two pictures. I have real and I have highlight. Yeah, I was recording. They were like, hi guys, welcome to Oh, TikTok. No, I don't have TikTok.
Are you ready to start? Oh, wait a bit. Okay. 5 minutes. Okay.
Morning,
So,
all.
morning, we'll be starting in about 5 minutes time.
Okay. Good morning, all. I think we can start. May I introduce our postdoctoral fellows in the house, Dr. Jonathan Tembo and Dr. Oladeji and Dr. Emmanuel Awa. I'm not sure if you're there in person. I cannot see you online. Okay. And our other doctoral fellows from Soweto campus. Today's workshop is on using AI, artificial intelligence tools for reviews. So during our previous workshop, our last workshop with Prof. Nicholas Chileshe, he did mention some of them, but did not demonstrate how to use them. So we thought the postdocs could demonstrate how to use these tools for us so that we can undertake faster reviews and, of course, publish faster. Thank you for joining. Thank you, those in the room and those online. Dr. Tembo, over to you.
Thank you, Prof. Good to everyone. Welcome to our seminar on using AI tools for reviews. As we all know, artificial intelligence is transforming industries, and academia is no exception. There's ongoing debate on how universities can integrate these tools into curriculum and the ethical issues which are required and the changes in policies which are required. So our seminar will look at the tools which are available and how to use some of them and how to address some of the ethical issues. We are going to have two presentations. My first presentation will be on the ethical tools which are available, and there will be a demonstration of how to use ELIFIT for literature review and how to use SciSpace for literature review. And we'll have a second presentation by Dr. Oladeji, which will focus on the opportunities available, the ethical issues, as well as some of the AI tools available. So this will be the presentation layout. We'll start by defining what AI tools are. What are AI tools? Why use AI tools in academia? What AI cannot do? Types of AI tools in academia. And then we'll move on to a demonstration of how to use ELICIT for literature review and literature search, how to use SciSpace for literature search and for literature review. So we'll move on to the first part, which is definition of AI tools. What are they? These are powerful tools which utilize artificial intelligence to supercharge academic processes, to increase the pace of academic processes, or to improve the speed at which you accomplish your academic processes, be it in academic writing, it can be literature search, or it can be general literature review. So they increase the rate or the speed with which you can access information related to a specific subject that you are researching on. So why do we need to use AI tools in academia? Why do we have to use AI tools in academia? The first point there is that you get to generate relevant literature faster. You get to, through just a click, you will be able to generate relevant literature faster. You will be able to read your literature easier through prompts. Through just prompting or through just a click, you'll be able to read a whole document, summarize a whole document, get the main findings, the methodologies which were used in the study, the main interventions which were applied. So it makes academic reading easier. Then the third point there is that it improves your academic writing skills. It improves your academic prose. There are tools which can be utilized to generate appropriate phrases, to remove redundant words, right? It suggests appropriate words that you can use in when you are writing. But what is it that AI cannot do? AI should just serve as a research assistant. They cannot take the role of the author. They can only be used as research assistants. That is, they cannot take the role of the author. That means the author still has the role of writing the research or the document, but they cannot replace the author. What I've noted is that in the tools that I've utilized, the AI tools are quite good with removing redundant words, making the writing a bit more focused, and giving conclusions to what has already been written, but they do not necessarily replace the author as the main, the author as the writer of the work. And the second point to note is that AI tools cannot be utilized akin to human intelligence. They are not yet at the level of human intelligence. If you copy and paste a data set to ChatGPT, for example, and you ask it to analyze, it will just give you basic analysis. It will give you basic review of the data that you have copied and pasted, but it will not give you the cutting edge analysis or the cutting edge review which is required specifically in academia. So my own take is that AI is not yet at the level of human intelligence. It cannot be utilized akin to human intelligence. It's not yet at that level. Maybe with time, with improvements, it will be there. It will be close to human intelligence, but for now, it is not yet at the level of human intelligence. Now, what are these types of AI tools available in academia? Types of AI tools available in academia. This seminar is, we said, is specifically for literature review, but we'll also look at others which are available, especially for writing. We have tools for literature review, and we have examples listed there: connected papers, iris, elicit, SciSpace. These are tools which are specifically used for literature review. Then we have tools for reading research papers, such as Scholastic and Consensus. These ones point to specific debates on which are being specific debates which will be dominating specific subject areas. So they give points to note, points of agreements, points of divergence on subject areas. Then we have tools which can be used to chat with research papers, such as Chat PDF, SciSpace, and Cloud. These ones can be used to summarize research papers, to search for specific methodologies which were used in research, the main interventions which were used, the main research findings. So you can use prompts to find whatever you are looking for within a research paper. You just need to upload it, upload the research paper, and then the tool will do the job of summarizing or coming up with whatever you would have prompted it to find. Then with Cloud, which in addition to being able to read research papers, it can also act as a peer reviewer. You just upload, you teach it first. You upload papers on a specific subject, and then you also upload a paper which you are writing. It will give you a critique of the paper that you are writing in line with what has been done in previous studies. It will give you a critique in line with what has been done in previous studies. So in addition to just being used for chatting with research papers, Cloud can also act as a peer reviewer. Then we have tools for paraphrasing, hypotenuse, Quillbot, copy. I think we're quite familiar with Quillbot. We have tools for academic writing, Grammarly, which improves your writing skills. It suggests specific phrases, specific words which are appropriate. We have Jenny. Jenny is mainly utilized to overcome writer's block. Writer's block, that moment or that time when you are not quite sure of the next sentence to write, how to get going, how to get started. So Jenny overcomes is used to overcome writer's block. It only suggests one sentence. It does not write an article for you. It will only get you started. Then we have Write Sonic. Write Sonic is mainly used to increase the size of paragraphs. Hemingway, it is used to remove redundant words or to reduce the size of a paragraph, to reduce the size of a sentence. We also have Lose the Very. This one will remove words such as very poor, very cold. It will suggest appropriate terms for that. Then we also have another tool which is used for generating synonyms, Power Thesaurus. It is used to generate similar words with the similar meaning, synonyms. So these are the types of tools which are available in academia. But we are not going to look at all of them. We are only going to focus on tools which are used for literature review, starting off with Elicit. So for you to use Elicit, you have to log into elicit.org, the page, and the Elicit page will be displayed on the PowerPoint there. You sign in and for a free account. You sign up for the Elicit free account. Once you have signed in, you will see a search bar with the words "Ask Research Question." All you have to do is to type in the words which relate to your subject area, the area which you want to study. So you type in your subject area or whatever you want to research on. When you have typed in, Elicit will generate a series of research papers which are specific to your study. It will generate a series of research papers which are specific to your study. In this case, Elicit generated papers related to political instability and economic growth. So it will generate a series of research papers, and you then use the the add information section about all papers, which is your top left. And you utilize the add information section, which is your top left, to identify the specific items that you wanted to display. If you wanted to display the abstract, the interventions which were used, the outcomes, or anything, a summary or findings, methodology, it will display that. So you just have to select. In this case, I selected the abstract, the summary, the intervention, and the outcomes. And these will be displayed on your right. Interventions, the main findings. In addition to what you would have selected, it will also show metadata, right? It will also show the metadata. For example, the year of publication of the article, the name of the authors, the number of citations, the journal in which the article was published. So it will also show all that information. And then your role there is that just to export what it would have generated, what else it would have generated to in CSV or Excel format. You just transfer it to your Excel document. From there, you are done. You'll have all your literature in one place. And in addition to elicit, we also have a SciSpace. Just like elicit, SciSpace offers a free account. You log in with your details, credentials, and the introductory page for SciSpace is displayed. So you sign up and you log in. Once you have logged in, just like with elicit, you input your research question in the search bar. There's a search bar there. You input your research question. For example, does financial development matter for economic growth? And you allow it to search. It will also generate a list of research papers specific to the subject area. It will generate a list of research papers specific to the subject area, like the ones which are displayed on the screen there. Then on that orange button is where you select what you want it to show. That orange button to the top left, you select what you want it to show. Do you want it to show the main findings, summary, abstract, the methodology? You select whatever you want it to show. In this case, we selected the summarized abstract and the results of the study, right? So these ones will be displayed to your right there. And after that, you can also export what SciSpace would have generated to CSV. You can export what SciSpace would have generated to CSV. You can copy it and paste it to your Excel. Now, in addition to just a literature search, you can also use SciSpace for charting with research papers, similar to what Cloud and Chat PDF can do. So it can also read research papers. You can use it for charting with research papers. So how do you chat with research papers? Instead of typing the research question in the as earlier on, as been said earlier on, you upload a PDF document. So instead of typing in the search bar, you upload a PDF document, and then ask for specific information that you want a SciSpace to summarize. You can ask for specific information that you want SciSpace to summarize. In this case, I uploaded a paper on a study which we carried out with Prof. So to your right there is a screen which will allow you to select whatever prompts you want to generate from the paper. The results of the paper, contribution of the paper. You can ask it to give the contribution of the paper. You can ask it to explain the practical implications of the paper. Whatever information that you want for your SciSpace to generate, it will generate. So once you have uploaded, you can input your prompts on the bottom right input bar. Then you generate your contributions of the paper, whatever you want, methods which are utilized, the main findings of the paper. Then SciSpace will give you feedback on those prompts. You can also ask it to suggest similar studies on the subject area. It will also be able to suggest similar studies which have been done on the subject area. Now, for academics, this one is mainly for academics. SciSpace can also be used for academic writing. You can convert your text to whatever, to different journal formats. It can convert your writing to Scopus journal format or to any other journal format that you would want. So it can be used to convert the writing to different journal formats. All you have to do is to upload your document and click the prompts and allow it to convert to different journal formats. It also has a citations generator. It can also be used for paraphrasing, that is for academic, if you are doing academic writing. You click the paraphrase button on the left and paste whatever you want to paraphrase. The example is shown there. So in addition to just being used for literature research or literature review, can also be used for paraphrasing. Yeah, I think that's the end of the presentation. Thank you.
We have a question in the chat, Doc. It says, to what extent can you utilize a paraphrase to and avoid plagiarism?
Well, I think you cannot copy a whole document and paraphrase it. I think you have to. There are specific areas where you would need to, not a whole document, but just maybe minor areas where you can paraphrase. You can use it to paraphrase, but not all documents. I think if you just take a whole document and paraphrase it and then claim that is your own writing, it would just be similar to plagiarism in my own opinion.
We have another question that was asking for the web page that for these tools. If there is a web page that you share for these tools.
Oh, for Elicit, it's elicit.org. I think I displayed that one. It's elicit.org. You go to elicit.org and then you sign up for the account. And then for SciSpace, it's typeset.io. 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 It's typeset.io. Do you have any other questions?
No, that will be all. It's just a request for you to also upload the slides that you were.
Oh, all right. That's fine. Maybe we can also open up the floor for discussion.
Okay, there's also another question on Iris. I think they're also trying to get the web page for Iris.
Iris. Talk to you. For Iris.
Iris. Let me just get that.
Okay, one question also says, what length does it have an impact on turning in?
Sorry?
To what length does it have an impact on turning in?
To what length does it have? What extent does it have an impact on turn it in? Referring to what? To AI?
I think they're
Okay.
referring to the paraphrasing tool.
Or the paraphrasing tool. Okay, there are specific there's specific tests, right, which can be detected. They say there are specific tests which can be detected by Turnitin. But I think they are not yet quite confident, they are not yet quite sure if text which has been generated by AI can be detected by Turnitin. They say they now have an algorithm to detect text which has been generated by AI, but they are not yet quite certain if they are able to detect it. I think that's how I take it. Maybe Dr. Oladiche can add.
Okay. I just wanted to add that I had an experience with a student who was struggling with their Turnitin, the scoring, and what they did was to inspect the portions of the paper that they had written that was being flagged by Turnitin for similarities with other papers, and they then took that to an AI tool like Quillbot to paraphrase, and then they put that back in the document. So in that case, this is not a situation where the paper is being written from scratch with AI. There are some things some redundant statements or sentences that that Turnitin will flag as similarity with other papers. And I think that is where paraphrasing can help. So paraphrasing is not necessarily supposed to help you generate the idea or the research right from the beginning. It's mostly where there are some very redundant words in the research that Turnitin has flagged. So in that case, like Dr. Tembo said, I don't think Turnitin would particularly flag that as AI generated text. But like he said, also it's still something that is in development when it comes to Turnitin detecting AI generated text.
Thank you. Thank you, Doc.
Okay, can we?
Okay, we are going moving on to the next presentation by Dr. Jonathan Oladiche.
Before I do that, I'd like if we can maybe mute, because there's an echo. I'm having an echo in here. Hello? Okay, I think that's better. Okay, let me just share my screen. Okay. So, hello everyone. I hope everyone can hear me. I'm going to just take a little bit of a different approach to the presentation, especially because Dr. Tembo has actually done quite a lot of justice to the research tools, the AI tools that we can, use for our own literature review and even for writing or helping with our research writing. So I want to ask, this is going to be a little bit engaging. Have you used AI to complete any task, probably in the past week? If you have done that, just maybe leave a yes in the chats, or let's know, have you used AI to complete any task in the past week, in the past day, maybe 24 hours, or in the past hour? So if you've done any of these things, just say yes in the chats. Have you used AI to generate anything or to complete any task? And then the second question I'm going to ask is this: have you never used AI tools? If you've never used AI tools, just say, oh, I've never used it, something like that. So if you have never used AI, I doubt that there will be anyone that has not used AI tools, right? But then, have you used AI tools to maybe beautify your photos on social media? You've used AI tools for one of these things on social media. You've used AI to do that. Then number 4, have you used AI to write an assignment? And I think this question is critical to the approach I'm going to be taking to the presentation today. It's going to be a little bit more towards the ethical considerations and some of the opportunities and probably limitations of using AI, right? So if you've used AI tools to write an assignment, I guess, of course, the answer I would give to you is that should not be practiced in academia or in any kind of academic work. AI should not be used as an alternative for writing or generating your own ideas or your own original thoughts. And I would go a little bit more into that and why that is important or critical to research and academia. So also, I would like to also ask, I know that some of us have used AI for other things. So okay, so I see some comments. Let me just quickly see. So there are comments on, I don't use AI to filter pictures. Yes, but not in the last week. No, I've not used AI to write an assignment. Yes, I used AI to probe for further explanation. I've used ChatGPT app. One thing I want to point out before we go on is that AI has been with us for a very long time. It's been with us even before the popularity of ChatGPT and BARD and all the others that we are now more aware of. AI has been with us for the longest time, and I'll still get to that as well. So if you've used some AI tools, I'd like you to share what AI tools you use frequently also in the chats. So thank you for the responses, but please also, there's this 5th question. What AI tool do you use frequently? Is there an AI tool you use frequently, whether outside of research or for writing or for paraphrasing or for editing or for whatever reason? If there's an AI tool you use very frequently, please share it in the group, I mean in the meeting. That way you can also maybe just leave a short note on what that AI tool helps you to achieve. That also would help everyone participating to also learn about maybe some new AI tool that could be valuable to them that this presentation might not even cover, right? So I'm going to then continue from here. So this presentation provides an overview of the role of AI tools in research writing, including their impact on the research process and the various AI tools available for literature review, reading research papers, note-taking, drafting, editing, I'm paraphrasing references and citations, brainstorming research questions, and search engines. The presentation also covers ethical considerations, opportunities, and limitations in using AI tools in research, and emphasizes the importance of maintaining a balanced approach that combines AI tools as supportive aids with critical thinking and validation. So another set of introductory questions I want you to maybe answer for me is this: why do we research, or why do we do research? You could just say that in like one sentence in the chat. Why do we do research? What's the overall reason we do research, or why do we even engage in academic work, academic research? What are the reasons? I would like to hear some responses or see some responses in the chat. Maybe just one sentence. Why do we do research? Why do we do any kind of academic work? I'm still seeing some responses. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of tools that have been dropped in the chat, and also some examples of tools and how some of us have been using them, which is good. But can someone just quickly help me with that question? So why do we do research? Why exactly do we do research? So what's the point? Why do we do research? Anyone? I'm not hearing. Okay, let me just, someone said to add and contribute to the body of knowledge. Okay, I think that's good enough response, to add to the body of knowledge, right? And in the process of knowledge creation, one thing I was able to do quickly at the beginning of my preparation for this this presentation was to look for the UJ policies on research ethics. UJ and also our department have a duty to contribute to the body of knowledge when it comes to finance and investment and management, whether in South Africa or across the globe. There are a lot of decision makers and businesses that will rely on some of the information that some of us produce to make decisions and to also do something different, maybe create a new solution or solve a problem. And once we start to think about it that way, we need to understand that originality becomes quite a very huge subject. And AI is one of the biggest challenges to originality that has come to humanity in the longest time, or in history, because AI now has a capacity to harness huge sums of data and huge mass of data to predict and preempt human reasoning. So what AI does, on all of this AI that we've looked at, what they do is to predict. They look at patterns of text. They are text-based, most of them. They look at patterns of text. They predict what is the possible outcome of the kind of response that should be given to a certain kind of question. And that is why we do the training, and then we give the AI some data to work with, and then we start to ask the AI for responses. The problem with that is that when AI starts to predict what it thinks everyone should, the kind of answer that AI thinks everyone will give to that question, it then gets to a point of saturation where we don't feel like there is anything else to respond to that problem. There's no other kind of response that should be given to that problem. And that is where the concept of the singularity, which is a very huge ethical question for a lot of AI creators, is important. And I want us to do our own research on that concept and why it is important that we maintain originality, validate the thought process that we generate through AI throughout the process, so that we don't become locked into this process where we are only relying on AI for the kind of ideas and the kind of solutions that we can create. So, of course, we've done a lot on the kind of tools that we're going to use for review. So I'm not going to really go so much into them, right? I'm going to just go more into some of the considerations that we can have for these tools. I have some notes that I've taken and I want to share them also with you, but I'll share them much, much later. So, in the, while artificial intelligence has always been with us in one form or the other, it has taken new and quite active forms. That is one of the important things about this presentation, is that we are becoming more engaged with artificial intelligence. It's always been with us in one way or the other. For example, when you're typing your emails in the past, even before we add ChatGPT and the rest of them, when you're typing your email, there's a prompt that prompts the possible next thing you should write. That has been the work of AI. It has been with us for a long time, right? But now AI has become even quite more active. Now we can talk to AI. Now we can interact with AI, right? The increasing access to AI through prompting has made it possible to instruct AI while completing tasks like a literature review. Some of the typical research processes have become quite easier to accomplish. And I want us to look at some of these research processes and how, they are important to us. In research writing, we have the need to ideate and hypothesize. We want to say, okay, this is the problem, or this is an idea that I want to pursue through my research. And we want to then hypothesize on what kind of problem or what kind of possibility. It's also sort of some kind of prediction. You also make an educated guess on the kind of problem that your research will address. It's an hypothetical guess that begins often the process of research writing. So then you also have the need to identify a gap. As much as you may have hypothesized that in certain in a certain discipline or in a certain industry there is a possible problem, you also want to know that for sure there is a gap in addressing that problem that has not been addressed. That is where our reviews, the first step of our review is to ensure that we know all of the work that has been done in that regard, and then to be able to see that the hypothesis we are pursuing has not yet been addressed. That is to identify the gap, right? Then we go forward from there to say, okay, now, because this gap is valid, we can then say, okay, let's do a literature search and to see other supporting literature that can help us to establish that gap further. What kind of theories that have been established in addressing that area or that discipline or that problem in the past? What kind of methodologies have been used? What's the background to even that problem, right? So that's where our literature review also becomes important, right? Also, in the process of writing your paper, you might get mental blocks. You might struggle with understanding some concepts because maybe you started out with a basic knowledge of what problem you wanted to address. You now started to realize that there are methods and approaches that you weren't familiar with, right? AI helps you to actually investigate further those kind of new concepts and new methodologies that you probably didn't know before, you were not familiar with. For example, I've had to do further reading on green bonds because of my area of research, because I didn't initially understand how institutions use green bonds to address housing finance needs and how that can be applied to local contexts in South Africa or probably globally. So understanding then what makes a green bond work, what exactly is a green bond? For example, you may also be doing a research in real estate investment trusts, and you've heard a lot about rates and all of that, and you don't understand how they are set up. You don't understand who manages a rate, or how it helps companies to raise funds for financing maybe commercial real estate. You want to understand some of those things before you go ahead into saying, I'm trying to solve a problem. Because most of the time, the reason why we do not have original thoughts in research from a lot of upcoming students is because they don't even understand the problem they're trying to solve. They don't understand that there's a lot of jargon, a lot of science jargon that you cannot explain. You don't understand it. Even in methodology, there are some interpretations that you just copy from the internet because you don't understand what that measure or that metric can do for you and what it can achieve for you in explaining the results that you got. And that goes to the point of interpreting and reporting results. AI also can help you to explore your data properly, explore the concepts, the measures, and the metrics that you've gotten, and be able to explain them better. So I'm not going to dig too deep into some of the tools, like Dr. Tembo has gone over some of them. So I'm just going to mention some of the tools that you can use for those specific parts of or those specific research needs, because I want you to think of it as a kind of structured process of, I need to be able to write, I need to be able to generate ideas, I need to be able to brainstorm, I need to be able to do a literature review, I need to be able to create an hypothesis, I need to be able to understand new concepts. So what are the tools that would help me do that? So for literature review, generally, you have IRIS. Some of us have already seen that. We've seen Elicit, we've talked about connected papers. You can see some of the links in this document, but I'm going to provide them to us so you can always have access to all the links. For reading research papers, we have Scholastic and SciSpace, and Dr. Tembo has done justice to how that works. Then chatting with research papers, of course, he has also talked about that. Note-taking. So one tool that I think is very helpful with note-taking, because you want to also make sure that you are organizing your ideas as you go, is GLASP and Lateral. I also use Mendeley, and I recommend Mendeley, even though it's not on this list yet. I recommend Mendeley for organizing your literature search. So when you've gotten all the literature, using some of the literature search tools that we've gone over, you can then put them or upload them into your Mendeley app, and it will help you also with highlighting, taking notes and things like that, organizing your thoughts on that research. But I'll still get to organizing your thoughts on each research paper maybe much later. Then for drafting, you have tools like AudioPen, Jenny. These tools, like you see in AudioPen, it says it's the easiest way to convert messy thoughts into clear text. There are tools like this that help you to put together some of the key ideas that you're working on and organize them into something that gives you a draft of ideas. So I would also still give you access to the document for that. For AI tools for editing and paraphrasing, you have PaperPal, Grammarly, Quillbot. I also would love to share another way in which you use AI tools for your own work through Chrome extensions. So extensions for your browser can very much speed up the process, or even is the synchronization of these tools. For example, Grammarly is synced into my browser and my Microsoft Word app, such that while I'm writing, it already checks for grammatical errors, issues with my vocabulary, redundancy, and things like that. And it typically underlines some of those things so that I can always review them and check if I can improve them. So by the time I'm done, already some of those things are sorted out, and I don't need to do all of that from scratch. Quillbot also is a good tool for paraphrasing. And like I explained when I was responding to one of the questions, I said that you should typically use these tools as an aid. So when you notice that maybe you've explained something in a way that you think it could be explained in a much easier way, you can actually use Quillbot to paraphrase it or change it and see what other expressions that Quillbot brings up. Then, even if possible, rewrite it in your own words. As much as possible, we all have a duty of care when it comes to creating knowledge, that we make sure that you put in every effort possible to make your thoughts original, right? So even when you've paraphrased the Quillbot, you can still read it, spend some time looking at that rewrite, and see if this is something that you can actually express in a way that, or even if there's a gap that you may have missed. I would have loved to talk about the ethical considerations of each of them as we go, but I'll probably just do a summary on that time. But I'll come back to some of the ethical considerations for each aspect. So AI tools for references and citations, there's Zotero. And like I mentioned, Mendeley is also a very good tool for citation and references. So organizing in fact, that should be like one of your biggest preparations before you start a literature review, is to make sure that you have your literature organized in such a way that you can easily go get the references and citations from either Zotero, Mendeley, or even your own properly organized spreadsheet. So these are tools that can be very helpful for search. The SciLink, which is probably similar to what you have with SciSpace. SciLink also helps with searching for literature on the internet. So another part that I've talked about a bit is the brainstorming and developing your research questions. And two of the tools that I've shared about, there are more tools in the notes that I'll share with you, but these two tools, ChatGPT and Claude, are quite popular. So with brainstorming and research questions, this is one of the places where you can start to build up a foundation of originality to make sure that you are actually asking the right questions through your research. And like I said earlier, if you are not clear on what the problem might be, you can use some of these tools to start your brainstorming, or you're not even sure what has been done, or what might be relevant to the industry you are or the sector that you are targeting. What could be relevant to that sector? You want to use some of these tools to generate ideas. Like if you're maybe doing research in the use of what do you call it now? Recyclable materials for building construction. You want to know, say you're doing that in South Africa, and you want to know who are the stakeholders who would benefit from such a research, so that you can maybe even collaborate with them. You can use ChatGPT to generate information on that. I think also that from my experience with ChatGPT, I would recommend Google's BARD, that's bard.google.com, for more specific putting it in the chat, bad.google.com, for more specific generation of very relevant information about specific issues. For example, if I want to know, institutions that are interested in green building or recyclable materials for building construction in South Africa, I would ask BAD, and bad.google.com would most likely even give you the links to those institutions' web pages, which initially, I don't know whether ChatGPT has changed, but initially ChatGPT doesn't give you so much detail about such organizations or people. And usually also some information that ChatGPT generates can be very misleading, especially when it comes to literature. When it comes to literature, ChatGPT has been found to generate false and misleading data, or false and misleading literature. So literature that doesn't even exist. So if you use ChatGPT to generate a research assignment, then you will most likely even mislead whoever you are creating that knowledge for. So then let me just go over, before we finish, the ethical considerations, even though some of them I've mentioned them along the way, right? But I would also share the notes with us so we can read about each section's the ethical. The data instead of going to find out yourself. The chances are that maybe AI will generate some information or measure that is not correct or does not fully capture everything. So it's also there's no sound. Can you hear me? Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. So, so I was talking about ethical considerations, and this is a very huge part of everything. So, responsibly using AI tools should be an important part of even your data gathering, data collection, data analysis. You shouldn't use data that AI generated for you. And even sometimes some responses that AI would generate. For example, when you ask, one thing I did with SciSpace recently was to create the kind of prompts that what I want SciSpace to tell me about a paper. Sometimes SciSpace will not tell you everything that is valuable in that paper. So it's your job to actually go into the paper to validate and be sure that it has told you everything. Yes, it has given you a summary. You can then check that summary with the paper, just skim through the paper to make sure that what it has generated for you is actually valid, and it is also to the extent of all of the things that need to be said about that paper, right? And that's where the issue of validation of results is also important, because if SciSpace says these are the findings or these are the results of this research, and there's an error or there's still a mistake in the way it has reported it, you need to do the job of making sure that that error doesn't go into your own research or your own report. Then proper citation and acknowledgement. As much as you are doing a lot of generative text and getting information from the AI, it's also still important to give credit to the author who SciSpace summarized their findings or whatever, to make sure that you are not just copying and pasting those findings into your own research and without giving proper credit to the author of that paper. Because it could sound interesting when SciSpace has summarized something for you, and it could sound like, yeah, this should now become a part of your paper, when in actual fact, that is somebody else's work. So that proper citation and acknowledgement is still important, even while using AI, right? So there are benefits of using AI tools in research. There are opportunities that lie in leveraging AI tools to augment research capabilities, streamline your processes, discover insights in a vast amount of literature. Researchers can benefit from increased efficiency, improved writing quality, and better access to relevant sources. However, these tools are not without weaknesses. They may have limitations in understanding context, interpreting complex concepts, and staying up to date with emerging research areas. So the balanced approach is to see AI tools as supportive aids, and very much important is to maintain our own critical thinking about every problem or concept that we are addressing in our research. And also importantly, responsible and ethical usage of AI tools is something that we must always continue to think about. So before I conclude my my presentation, I just want to share something that helps, that I have done, and I would encourage everyone to do. So I'm going to share a different screen just quickly. So this is a spreadsheet that I've created while working with AI to generate information from some of the papers that I'm working on. So while you are doing maybe even the first stage of your research should be to organize the work that has been generated in this form, so that you have a database or a summary of all of the information you've gathered, whether it's the date of the papers or the time, the year of the publications, the citation, the publication, or the journal or conference where that work was done, the keywords, because the keywords also help you to know how relevant those researches that you've been working on are to the paper that you are trying to work on. It also keeps your thoughts sort of organized, that these are the keywords that these papers have shared and that they have in common, right? You can also have the focus area or themes of the paper. You can take note of the location of the paper, whether it's the United States, Poland, or any other parts of the world. The problem addressed. You should also, very much importantly, extract from the literature what was the problem that was actually addressed. So some of these things, AI may not particularly give you prompts to generate them the way you want to generate them. So you have to create your own prompts for each of these sections sometimes, especially maybe when you're using Scikit-Space. It has some generic prompts that it uses, but you can also create prompts that are actually more complex and more contextual for you. So using generic prompts is not something I would always recommend. You should think about it. What exactly do I want to find out from AI, and what kind of prompts? What can I ask AI? Then you want to also know about maybe the methodology, the findings, some of the recommendations in the paper, the strength of the paper, the weakness of the paper. These parts, the strengths and weaknesses, as much as AI, and the reason why I set aside this part is so that in your literature review, you're not just putting together a list of literature. You are actually looking at the attributes and characteristics of the work that has been done. You should be able to have a sort of robust conversation on what that literature entails and some of the reasons why your gap is important. And that's where then you now start looking at the gap that you are going to address. When you have listed, okay, maybe in this set of literature, these are the gaps that you see. You can then proceed to strengthen your argument for the gap that your own literature is addressing. So I think I will just conclude there on the tools and the considerations that we must have when it comes to AI and generative text. Thank you very much. And I think I can open the floor for any questions or comments.
May I go ahead with my question?
Yes, sure, go on.
I'm very glad that I attended this session this morning, and I'm grateful for all the tools that you guys have highlighted.
I have a question. You mentioned that we can.
Someone is. Hold on. Go on.
Yes,
Andrews.
I was saying that I'm very grateful for the tools that you've highlighted. Some of these tools, it's the first time that I'm hearing about them. I can't help but wish that, that I've been introduced to these tools at the outset of my PhD studies. I'm sure that it would have spared me countless hours, specifically during the early stages of my research. So the question that I have is, are our UJ supervisors familiar with the AI tools that you've highlighted? As I'm sure the others in this forum will agree that they are super helpful.
Well, that's a huge question. Being that I'm not good, I can't answer for everyone or every supervisor. I would say maybe Prof should be able to answer that.
Because if they don't know about these tools, how are they going to help us?
Hold on, Andrew. Okay, Prof is answering. I don't know.
Yeah, but this way is open. We can't open. Okay. Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay. Yes.
Okay. So I would say our supervisors are aware of those literature proceedings, right? But AI is something that is, I would say, relatively new to the research space, especially heightened by the ChatGPT incidents. So this is why we're having this session, so that more people can be aware and also know how to use these things.
Okay. I hope that answers your question, Andrew.
Thank you. It does.
Okay.
Thank you. I actually pressed my students to do the review table. Thank you for highlighting that, Latifi. So when you use these tools, I asked them to, instead of just reading openly or directionless, they should just create a table and highlight the differences and similarities between these papers so that they can establish it. So I don't know how many people actually use these things, but I think from the first and second meetings, I request for a review table. And also just to make sure that you are reading the relevant things. Because some of these things come with red herrings, like the ChatGPT. So it's up to you to actually know what you're doing and sift the relevant things out and create new knowledge.
Thank you, Prof. Someone wanted to ask from the boardroom here, so please switch on your mic.
Okay, thank you. My question is, that we can use AI tools, e.g., elicit to search for not to search literature review. So my question is, can you also mention the AI tools methodology? If I find the articles using those AI tools, or do we still need to search the databases?
Okay, that's a very complex one. I think that a lot of journals are becoming more open to AI as an assistive tool for finding literature. Typically, it shouldn't be a problem in your methodology if you're stating that you use certain AI tool to find or to do your literature search, right? It shouldn't be a problem. However, I would say that for every research writing that you embark on, if you've identified relevant journals that you want to work with, it's important that you also look at the policy of that journal on AI. They probably have a policy on it, and on whether they would be open to such methodology. Or so in any case, if they are not open to that, I think the alternative will be to, once you found your literature, to validate it using the typical ones that some of these journals are open to. Like I said, ChatGPT has a problem of even giving false literature that doesn't exist. So it would still be right and okay for you to use maybe Google Scholar to validate the literature that you found. So that will probably help you in that regard, if that literature or that journal or that maybe your supervisor is not open to you stating that as your literature search. I hope I'm on track with that one. So I think that should address that.
I think I want to ask that just like you will use a qualitative analysis software like Classifier or Indigo to analyze data, you can actually start tools as like you use them to aid in the analysis or review of information.
Okay.
Any other questions from you? Any other questions, Roderick?
No, it's not a question.
Okay. Online, any other questions?
We've been nothing in the chat. Is there anyone still has a question?
I don't think there's any other question.
Okay. Now, if there are no further questions, I would just like to thank our postdocs, Drs. Jonathan, Tembo, and Oladeji for their time this morning, and all our colleagues and students who attended. Thank you very much. I hope you learned a lot to use in your various studies, master's and PhD, and in your personal research. Thank you, doctors.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Okay, can stop recording. Bye, everyone. Have a lovely rest of the day.
Wow, thank you. This was a great presentation.
I think maybe the presentations can just be sent to those.
Send to Roderick. Share.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.